I'm going to continue doing videos in my informal style. I will eventually promise I will learn to edit these things and cut out a lot of the uhs. It's one of my long-term objectives here. But I'm going to talk about this 4-volume set from TSR in the mid-90s. During second edition, there might be some who recognize what these are, even though you can't quite read what it says there on the side because of all the abuse they've gotten, including this one got a hold of my puppy back in, say, I don't know, about 1999, 2000. Got a hold of this one. There are actually a few pages missing. I have an entire second set of these, but these are the ones I bought as they came out. This is the Encyclopedia Magica for second edition. It was published, I believe, in 1995, and it is an alphabetical listing of all the magic items produced for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Second Edition, BECMI, BX, and Original Dungeons & Dragons. That was up to that point when these came out, including some stuff that had never been released before officially. And there I'm saying, but I don't know how many people have these, but I'm pretty sure they're available on PDF on drive-thru. If they're not, I apologize, but there's no reason in the world, if you can, to not try and get a hold of these wonderful books, at least in PDF form. These were, when I remember when this particular volume came out, this is why I'm sticking with this. This was the first volume alphabetically, A through D. It came out first, and the other ones were months apart. And I used this immediately in my campaigns. There were a number of magic items in here. Since it starts with A is armor. They were just these wonderful armors. A is also arrows. There were amazing arrows. There's also A is also axes. It's a wonderful group of magical axes in here, which I did, which I used. Like here's Azar-Edge, a magic, and here's a bunch of pictures of axes. And these are. This was a very good, wonderful supplement. I began using this immediately. It has multiple versions. For example, the Axe of the Dwarvish Lords, which is right here. To be exact, it's right here. And the one from the original Eldritch Wizardry, and the one from the Book of Artifacts, which is an updating of the one that was in the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's also new stuff introduced from the Book of Artifacts, which is another Book of the Emperor, and the Axe of the Emperor. Frost Reaver from Tales of the Lance. So what I did was, when I got these, I began adding these almost immediately into my game. Wonderful axes from deities and demigods, gods, demigods, and heroes. Adventures in Blackmoor, Dwarves Deep. I mean, every supplement that had come up to this point had these wonderful, including one of my all-time favorites, Zebulon's Axe of Leaving, used to great effect by a friend of mine who was in my campaign in the mid-90s, who used the Zebulon's Axe of Leaving as a way of assassinating enemy magic users. And I mean that literally. He actually, even though he wasn't a classed assassin because they didn't have those in second edition, he used this as a way of taking out enemy wizards. He was actually paid for that, and that's just the A's. Has that much, that content of the book is that much with a few introductory pages. This is pure content. It's all It's all killer, no filler. It is a wonderful supplement, and of course, next part of the alphabet came out. Was D, the end of the D's all the way through P's, which means potions and powders for P. And it had maces, for under M, and lances under L, and weirder things like kettles, jugs, ichor, icons. It just, again, this is the second volume in the, and it just is filled with tons of magic items. Bags of holding was what I was just showing. And magic hammers, harness of the spider. Just a nice animation of that. It also has a few color plates in it that help out, but mostly you buy it because of these magnificent magic items created across what was already then 2 decades of the history of TSR creating role-playing games, and I can't see how this would not be valuable to every single old school game master. You can never have too many magic items, and some of them are wonderful for being just because they're kind of minor. They're minor magic items that can be handed out. Some of them are grotesquely overpowered. Some of them are grotesquely underpowered. Some of them are unfair cursed items, and some of them are comedic items. They do have in the final volume a chart for random treasure, and they do have the joke items separated out from the non-joke items, so that you don't end up with a staff of striking, which was a staff that whenever you tried to use it would go on strike, as opposed to getting a staff of striking, which is a staff that deals extra damage when you used it in combat, in hand-to-hand combat. Burned off charges gave you extra d6 of damage for each charge. It has a pretty effective index, though much of the index got obliterated by my old puppy, who's been dead for many years now. Has intelligent weapons. It has items out of Dragon Magazine, Dungeon Magazine, out of Imagine Magazine. It has it all nice and put into one spot for everyone to look through. And it had all these wonderful magic shields in the green volume, the third volume. Blue volume was the last one, and it is the one that has the random encounter and the random. I'm saying random encounter, random treasure generator, the random item generation. If you have this, there is, zero chance, practically, that you'll ever be able to use all the items that are in here in a campaign. It's just, it would be literally, I think, impossible. And there are, this is thousands of pages of magic items created by people who love this game, and I think every OSR game master should have this. They're also listed both for their gold piece value and their XP value, just like they would be in an OSR game, especially ones like Osric and anything based off first edition AD&D. And I think there are an excellent supplement. One of the things is that these items, though, help bring down TSR. These were expensive to make. It's not really a leather; it's faux leather, but still, has good binding. Has a little. You can see the little bookmark, though mine's been tattered somewhat. Let me get a better look at how tattered that could get. But that had all this expensive, well made, and they were selling them. They were selling them for a pretty high price at the time. I can't remember what it was. Let me see if it's on. See if I have any. I think they were going for like $30, and I think they cost more than that to make and ship. Anyway, they were losing money each time they sold one of these before Wizards of the Coast took over, and Wizards of the Coast made cheaper versions of this later, just so they would only break even on them. But these, the compilation of these took a huge amount of time. I can't even imagine. There was no. It wasn't easy to do search. All this stuff wasn't on PDF at the time. All this stuff wasn't on computer. So Dale Slade Hinson, who's the guy who did the chief work on this, he and whoever who was helping him had to physically go through every issue of Dragon, physically go through every module, physically go through every supplement produced, every adventure, every module, and mark down all these magic items, and then compile them, put them into this alphabetical order, and get them released. So the time taken to do that also cost a lot of money. So this item helped destroy TSR, which is bad, but it's still they're worth having if you can get a hold of these old ones. Of course, I'm sure. I think last time I looked, I saw them selling for around $100 each, and but they were really expensive when they came. They seemed expensive to me when they came out, but they weren't $100 each. But if the PDF's available, I would definitely get the PDF. I find it a lot easier to just flip through books than to flip through PDFs personally. But if you got the PDFs, you have thousands, tens of thousands of magic items. Tens of thousands. I believe there's a running count at the bottom of each page. Was there on? No, maybe. Yeah, just. But they had. I mean, this. Even we're not to the end of the book. There's already 1,500 pages, and all this, the page count goes throughout all 4 volumes. And you can see magical whips. It's pretty cool. Tabard of the Mystics. Some of them, the gold lettering, are the ones that are the new, like a new overall topic. So, Tabard of the Mystics, and then Tabard goes over to table, and they have these magic tables, like literally tables, like kitchen tables that are made of magic. Anyway, I just thought I would like to advocate that everyone have one of these. It's not like if you, I know people like making up their own magic items, and that is nice, but everybody has a style of making their own magic items, and when they're as a game master, you always have your own sort of style, and it's nice to have other people's stuff in your game to remind yourself that the world should be sort of a living world, and there are other that wizards all have their own wizards, gods, demigods. All of them have their own way of making magic items and create unique magic items. So you have tons of this for inspiration. You don't have to even you don't have to read through every page of it. You can use the random table at the back or not. It is a compilation of some really good rules in here. I would definitely look at intelligent swords and intelligent weapons in these sources. They are wonderfully expanded on what they are in the first edition DMG and in the second edition DMG. Expanded, just greatly expanded. There was a article in Dragon 89, I forgot what it was one of the treasure troves in Dragon that had this expanded intelligent sword creation, but it's wonderful, very very flavorful, adds some stuff to the game, just that alone. And then you have a whole bunch of, people get caught up on making magic swords or magic whatever, but new magic arrows, new magic bows, new magic axes, maces, hammers, of course, new magic armor, and new magic wands, staves, rods, tons of potions, powders, oils, filters, sensors, bowls, almost anything you can imagine being in a treasure trove. There's something there, and goes from the barely magical, like one of my all-time favorite magic items, the cushion of regeneration. It would let you heal in old school D&D and AD&D and D&D. You didn't heal very fast without magic, so it would take if you rested on this pillow, instead of taking a week to recover from your injuries, if you dropped below 0 hit points, you're using the AD&D system of where you were below 0 hit points. It took you a week of complete bed rest. It took you 3.5 days. You got 3.5 days. You cut your time in half for that. That's a really great magic item in the old school system when you don't have short rests to get all your hit points back. Things like that. It's a really good magic item. Could hand out. It's handy if you're using old school rules. You could have some kind of magic item that, there are all kinds of magic items created for, like I said, BX, BECME, 0 edition, 1st edition, 2nd edition. I can't recommend these highly enough, just because of how fun it is to read through them, even to read through the stupid ones like Babette's Maelstrom. It always comes to mind when I think of, it's the most ludicrous weapon in here. It's like a 10 million XP sword. It's a joke weapon. It's in the joke setting, but it's in the joke listing, so you don't have to roll it up. There's no chance of you rolling up randomly unless you want the joke items in your game. But it is and all the way down to things like magical powders that give you a temporary bonus to charisma, or it's got so much variety in it, and some things that you probably are not going to think of for yourself. It has item quirks and all that. I would definitely recommend, if the PDF's available, which it should be, I'd recommend you get that, definitely. But I like it. It helped my campaign immediately. If you saw my on my notes from this era, what I was doing was coming up with encounters and campaign data and travel, and I was worried very much about what was happening at the table. So I didn't really spend time just creating magic items, spells, things like that, just for fun. Everything I had was to be play at the table. So having a whole bunch of unique magic items helped, because then it's something I don't have to worry about. Anyway, but I loved it. I still like this book, and I have 2 copies of each. My other blue copy though is one of the cheaper Wizards of the Coast versions, so I didn't bring that out, even though it's in way better condition. It just doesn't look the same. It's got a paper cover. It doesn't have these bookmarks in it. Anyway, I've gone on way too long anyway, and as always, I hem and haw and make a lot of unnecessary stops. So this will be the end of this video, and maybe I'll go into detail at some later date on intelligent items, intelligent swords, especially in AD&D and old school D&D, and how important those items were, especially in the old school way. It's one of the many topics I talk about, and I'll try and remain extemporaneous in my talking, but I also try and bring down the uhs and ums so that I'm not quite as annoying.